Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy, actually, Amungus here. And this week, for this week's Pick'em, I got Shiny Shuriken, commissioner of the PWD, with me again. You want to say hi?
Hey, what's up, guys?
So, um, week two was, well, I don't know how to describe. How would you describe week two? Surprising? Eventful?
Very, very
Um,
surprising.
yeah, week two was definitely worth the ticket price. Not that there was one, but it was quite a show, is what I'm trying to say. And I guess I'll just hop right into the results so we can get to the picks. We had the Manchester Mimikyu over the Tokyo Toxapex. We had the Immortal Drampas take take down the one seed New York Nicket. We had the Scenewood City Quagsire 6-0 my Atlanta Sobble. The Lake of Rage Gyarados defeated the Straw Hat Crocodile. The New York Noctowl took a lot of people by surprise and took down the Stark Mountain Giratina. The Fargo Phalanx defeated the Lisbon Arcanine. And probably the biggest surprise of the week was that the Los Angeles Infernapes took down the Nashville Nidoking. I said that as the biggest surprise of the week because nobody had picked the LA Infernapes to win that match. But we all took a loss as Sosa gains a win on his record. So, as I'm moving over to week three's matchups, I just wanted to go over very quickly for last week the weekly winners for last week as far as the pick'ems go. Number one is Shade of Defeat. Got 5 correct. Now, if you notice, that's a little bit of a drop off from last week where we had 3 people get every match 7 of 7 correct, and another 2 people get 6 of 7. This week, only one person guessed 5 correctly. And then the number 2 was Arts with 3 guesses. There's 4 participants that got 5 participants that got 2, and then Manny and Coach Bloud, they only guessed 1 correctly. But it was definitely a week full of surprises. So that brings the total leaders to number 1 is Coach Arts of the Lake of Rage Gyarados. Has 10 total correct picks on the season in between week 1 and 2. Shade of Defeat, Bishme, and myself are right behind him with 9. And Manny and Southside Braves and Bloud follow that up with 7. Mac, you're at 6 right now. But that's still pretty close, you know.
Yeah.
One good week, you could tie or take over for sure. So yeah, this week we got some pretty cool matchups. But I said before the season that I felt like every week's schedule was like it was professionally made to sell tickets or something. But right at the top of the bill, we got the surprising New York Noctowl that took a big shocker win last week over the Tokyo Toxapex team, which, just to be frankly honest, is underperforming. Like, there's got to be a win coming eventually for him, right?
You hope. You hope. My take on it is that I think Coach James is just kind of trying to find his play style. Season 1, he played in a very specific manner under Trick Room, and he knew what he was doing. And I think he's tried to move into a little bit of a stall type play, trying to match out with Pokemon. And I think he just needs to take a step back, look at his team, make an assessment, and adjust.
Yeah, that's right along. That's kind of what my point was. Is that by saying this team is underperforming, like, this team is not a team to sleep on just because they're 0-2. This team is not performing to its full potential and will beat some people in this league. Who do you think you're going to take on this one?
I think I'm going to take Coach New, who I think has kind of settled into place with his New York Noctowls, and I think he's comfortable with his team right now. I think we see a transition week for Coach James where he tries to make some changes and adjustments to his play style. But I think the New York Noctowls got this one.
I also have the New York Noctowls on my picks, and it's definitely, I guess keep saying, I trying to make this point, it's definitely not to discredit the Tokyo Toxapex, because I believe they'll do well this season. But I am more than impressed. I'm quite impressed. I'm beyond impressed with the way that Coach New has played weeks 1 and 2. I really like the thought that you can see that his plays are well thought out, and so I'm taking him for that reason. Now, the obvious next one, I'm mostly going to get your thoughts on, because I'm going to pick my team to win. I'm always going to pick my team to win. But here I got a very tough opponent that just beat Bishmi, the number 1 seed. So what are your thoughts coming into this one?
I think you have a tough matchup with the electric terrain users and for speed, but I think that you enjoy the prep, and I think you enjoy that setup. However, I think I'm going to give the hot hand to Carlos here, and I'm going to say that he's just got a little too much for you this week.
Hey, if I had to take personal bias out, I would probably take Carlos as well. Unfortunately, that is not the case, and so then it always becomes the case of, well, I have control over the Atlanta Sable. So I would hope I control them to a win.
Yes.
So then we got the Lisbon Arcanine and the Cianwood City Quagsire. So, obviously this was my opponent last week, the Cianwood City Quagsire, and they really brought it. They brought it to me hard. I got to take them after what they showed me last week, but you're more familiar with Coach Squid. What do you think coming into this?
Oh, Coach Squid's hungry for a win. I'm actually going to take this as my upset of the week, and I'm going to go ahead and pick the Lisbon Arcanines because I think that Squid puts together a game plan. I think he wants to get that win on the board.
I will give Coach Squid credit for this. I can say a lot of the same things about his play as I would about Coach News. It's just that James didn't 6-0 me last week, so it's a little easier to pick against James because I know James is very good. As a matter of fact, he beat me in PWD Season 1. But, I just got 6-0'd by Ryan. It's hard to pick against him.
Yes. Yep. And it's hard to pick against the powerhouse, but I think Squid has a lot of interesting little tools on his team. And I know that Ryan's a seasoned draft player, but I believe Squid is as well. And I think he put something together to try and put himself on the board here.
Yeah,
if he comes prepared and ready, I think Squid has a strong chance.
I think that it's not a hot take to say that I don't think Ryan's going to go undefeated or anything. Like, somebody's going to have to beat Ryan eventually. So why not this week? Next we got, I would say that this is one of 2 matchups that I am really looking forward to see how this goes. The Los Angeles Infernape and the New York Nickit. So Bishmi has a really, 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 really strong team and played well. Maybe I don't know if he had the strongest showing because there were some of the coaches that, like Coach Squid is a great example, that showed that he really can play. And I'm not saying Bishmi didn't, but just didn't get the results. I feel like Bishmi's play was kind of middle of the field for the first 2 weeks, and his record is as well. It's not really hiding much. He could have made a couple better plays against the Tokyo Toxapex, and then a really strong team in the Immortal Drampas was able to get a win against him. So that's a fair record. The LA Infernapes, on the other hand, they really impressed me with the way that they won last week and took everybody by surprise. So I actually took them for my pick. What do you think?
It's going to have to be a kind of prove yourself moment for Coach Fishman, I think, where he needs to step in and show that he's got this number 1 preseason ranking team. more. And I think it'll be a strong match. Unfortunately, I do see this one going to timer.
Yeah. That reminds me. It makes me almost want to skip down to the bottom with the other match I really want to talk about, but I won't. I'll keep going straight down, and we'll go to the Lake of Rage Gyarados and the Manchester Mimikyu. And I gotta say, the first week compared to the second week, it was like we had two different Peekaboos playing. Because I really underestimated him. With no offense to Peekaboo, he's a great guy. I'll enjoy his content and streams. But just to be totally transparent, I seen Peekaboo doing a lot of like story type of playthroughs and wasn't sure if there would be a learning curve. You know, like a rough start. Not saying that he wouldn't pick it up, but like a rough start to this season as he adjusted to the format. You know, I mean, like if you play more story than competitive, it could be an adjustment. No offense to him personally, because I really do enjoy his content. But then week 2, it's like, who is this Peekaboo, man? He's a dog.
Without seeing the match, I'm interested to see how that played out and what the final result was. But I think that you're exactly right along the same lines that I felt. I wasn't sure how serious to take Coach Peekaboo, and he showed that he does have some background and prowess with battling. So happy to see that we still have that full slate of strong contenders.
Yeah, no doubt. And I mean, I'm still going to take the Lake of Rage Gyarados on this because yes. I feel like as well as Peekaboo played week 2, Arts has played some of the most consistent play, like each play to each play. Arts has made some of the least bad plays. While his play ain't been perfect, whose has? He's made some of the least bad plays in the league so far this first 2 weeks of the season. I just don't see any reason to bet against him, you know.
Yeah, Peekaboo's team doesn't give me enough as a reason to pick his team either.
If it was another matchup, maybe week 2's play could have been enough to sway my vote, but not against a coach that's playing that well.
Arts is going to start getting tested in the coming weeks. These first 3 weeks here, he's had lower ranked, power ranked teams to go up against, and so the challenge hasn't been as high. It'll be interesting to see the Lake of Rage Gyarados go up against, for example, Coach New or Dark Mountain Giratinas and the LA Emperor names, things like that. So
yeah, I agree. So then moving on to your game. Now, these are two of my favorite battlers in the PWD. I'm not going to lie. If this was a popularity contest, this would be impossible for me. But just looking at the play and honestly the records, I'm taking you on this one just because, well, your record, your play, edged out shade a little bit, proofs in the pudding type stuff. What do you think about your matchup this week, though? I mean, I'm sure I know who you're going to pick, but what do you think?
Yeah, of course I got to pick myself. That goes without saying. I do think I have a tough matchup here. Shade has a very deep team.
No doubt.
With both Cinderace and Blastoise on this team, with a lot of other strong pieces that can really cause my team some problems. Made probably the number 1 play of week 2. So he's got the potential, but I think he loses sight at times of the battle, and that unfortunately loses him the battles as well. So I'm going to go ahead and give it to myself as well, because I think that I'm just maybe one step over with keeping my mind on the battle itself.
Right. So then I almost wanted to skip to it when we talked about timer. Then we have Manny, coach of one of my favorite teams coming into the league in the Stark Mountain Giratina, and coach Southside Braves, the Nashville Nido Kings. I'm from Tennessee, so I got shout out to the Tennessee team. They also have, like, I had Bishme, I had the New York Nicket and the Immortal Drampa's roster ahead of them. But, when it comes to those next spots, these were two of my teams where I was like, oh, I really like these guys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Manny's battles have been going to timer because he has such a fat team and he plays it so smart where you're not getting any advantage against him. And I'm a big fan of the way that Manny's played his first two battles, but timer has been such a thorn in his side. How do you think it's going to go when this one's all said and done?
I will be shocked if it doesn't go to timer. And if it doesn't go to timer, I think it's because Manny adjusts his play style and leans more into his weather team and tries to move away from the bulk. Manny switches a lot, which is exactly like you said, the perfect play style. He's doing what he needs to do to make sure he maintains his positioning. But I think this team is going to struggle to finish up matches this season.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I'm a big fan of his battle style and a big fan of his roster as well. But, you basically encompass the reasons why I say all those great things about Manny's team and then pick the Nashville Needle Kings, because I did.
I think that the Nashville Needle Kings have some very potent wall breakers. So this will, I think, be a wall versus wall breaker contest. And I'm actually also going to select the Southside Braves on this one with the likes of Dragapult and Belly Drum Zoomerol. I think that Coach Southside gets it done.
Yeah, I mean, hey, everybody picked the Nashville Needle Kings last week, and that did not work out for us last week. But that doesn't mean to say that he hasn't done a lot. He's played very well. His team's great, so I think I'm gonna go back stay on the Nashville bandwagon. Shout out to Tennessee, but I don't know. Before we go, because it just brings me up to ask the question, because that would be probably my game of the week. What do you think the game of the week is going to be this week?
That one, if I'm picking premier battles for the season or for the week, yes, Manny versus Southside is definitely the premier matchup. But I'd also want to put Sweden, the Lisbon Arcanines up against the Seattle City Bike Sires as the next matchup.
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's season is going to be very interesting because he's kind of like this titan in the PWD that has truly never taken a loss. Nobody can say we beat him in PWD contest.
Yep.
And so, but at the same time, PWD Season 1's level of competition compared to Seasons 2, it's a different world. And Ryan's team in PWD Season 1 compared to Season 2 is a different world. And, I mean, it's just my opinion. Anybody is welcome to prove me wrong in this league. But it's just my opinion that I don't see any of us going undefeated. I don't think that an undefeated record is probable to expect. It's just not realistic.
Yep.
So somebody's going to beat them. And it's very interesting how that season will go.
Yes. Same thing for Ryan that kind of happened for Art's lower half of power ranking teams for his first three matchups. He'll really start to get tested when he gets into that top five, top half of the league. And those opponents such as Manny and Southside, Coach New, Sosa. It'll be interesting to see those matchups play out.
Yeah. And so, as usual, I don't really have much else, but make sure if you're in the PWD watching this or, a fan of our battles, that you either comment your picks on the video, DM your picks to me. You can post them in the Discord, the PWD Discord if you really want to, but make sure you keep up with your picks because I am keeping track week to week. So you don't want to miss a week and make a big dip in your total standing. Other than that, you got anything else before we sign off?
Nope.
One more time is, of course, Shiny Shuriken, Commissioner of the PWD, here with me. Make sure you follow and subscribe to his YouTube as well. And I appreciate y'all watching. Goodbye.